this right now. Okay, perfect. So welcome everyone that is here. I'm really excited for today's lunch club. This edition will be for creating seamless integrations to the platforms you use most often. We request everyone to please be on mute, which you guys are. But if you have any questions going through these steps, please just shout it out or drop it in the chat. And you probably saw that little notification that this is recorded, so you will have this to look back, and I can share the deck as well because it has a lot of great little step-by-step videos in it. I am located in New York City. I'd love to know where you guys are at, and if you could just drop in the chat what platforms you're looking about integrating with. It's always great for us to know too. And I'm gonna just jump right into it. And where is this? There we go. A little bit about myself so you know who is talking to you. I have 10 plus years of experience in luxury fashion in places like LVMH and Yeezy. I've also built my own namesake brand, Titova. I was a solopreneur. I bootstrapped the entire business, and it gave me a very deep understanding of how time consuming most projects are and how AI can truly be a lifesaver. So for today's goals, we are going to get you set up with Zapier so you can connect to any Zapier supported platform. For today's specific example, I'll be showing you how to connect Shopify through Zapier's automation. And we are going to automate a Charlie generated blog to be posted every week to my website's blog. But whether you are trying to integrate to Shopify or WordPress or Slack or Squarespace, these steps are essentially identical. So no matter where you're trying to integrate, this should be very, very helpful for you. First, you will need a Zapier account. That's at zapier.com. If you don't already have one, and then you will definitely need a Business GoCharlie account because our business account is the one that will provide you a Zapier API integration. Now, this session is definitely set up as we go so that at the end of the 40 minutes, you'll already have a full integration set up. If you don't have either of these, that's totally okay too. I would still listen along in case you have any questions. And once you have both of the accounts set up, you can then rewatch this or go through the deck on your own time. One tiny important announcement for everyone who is a GoCharlie has a GoCharlie account. We are getting rid of our pro membership on June 1st, but anyone who does have a pro membership will automatically get upgraded to business. So just as an FYI, right now, if you get a pro membership, you will get a Zapier API because you'll automatically get upgraded to business before June 1st. So big heads up on that one. Now let's jump literally right into it so we don't waste anyone's time. We are going to need your GoCharlie API link key. I want to make sure you know how to find it. This API is how Zapier will be able to communicate with your specific GoCharlie account. You will simply navigate towards your name in the bottom, left-hand corner. And then you will click profile, and right under your email in profile, you will see the Zapier API key in a gradient box. You'll need this later on, but I wanted to just make it super clear where to find this for when you do need it. After you found your key, we are going to jump right into creating your first Zap, which is essentially your integration. When you go to your Zapier account, you are going to click on create Zap, and it's going to bring you to this page. I would prefer you avoid this top box because we have to make sure your accounts are all actually connected first. So you are going to simply click on trigger, and trigger will be for your GoCharlie account because we are trying to get the content that is from GoCharlie to then be the action of getting posted to your platform, and in our case, Shopify. If you are more advanced in Zapier, please note that we are still in beta on Zapier. So currently we are only able to choose GoCharlie as the trigger, not an action. But again, if this makes no sense, this is definitely just a note for anyone that is a little bit more advanced with Zapier accounts. You are going to click trigger, and this little pop-up is going to come up, and you'll type in GoCharlie, you will choose it, and go on to the next step that it's going to prompt you for. For the event section, you only have one option, so you're going to choose publish content. And then when you get to the account section, this is where you are going to need your API from your GoCharlie account that we walked through a couple moments ago. This will be a pop-up that comes up. So if you're trying to look for it, it's supposed to be a entirely new screen that comes up on your laptop, and you plug in your API right onto this page and you connect it, and you'll essentially be all set with the two accounts being connected from there. The next step after that will be a test question, whether you want to test out the integration. You can just pick content A and test it out if you want to, or continue. And when you press continue, you essentially have completely set up your trigger. It's really straightforward. There's a bunch of little steps, but I feel like it's fairly simple to do. So congratulations, you are now done with setting up the trigger, and it will automatically prompt you back up to this search box, and you are going to choose the platform that you want to have your content published to. For this one, as we've mentioned, we are going to pick Shopify to set up. So in the app and event step, I am choosing the create blog entry option because that is what I would like published, specifically blogs. Please pay close attention to this part. Under the action tabs, you'll be required to choose the blog you already have in your Shopify account. So choose that, whatever the title of that blog is. Under title, you will choose name. Under author name, please choose published timestamp. And under content, choose published content. This is how Zapier will know how to bring the content into Shopify's blog structure. And when you actually see it in Shopify, it'll make all the sense in the world as to why we chose these for these options. One last thing about this section, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will see this question is published. I always set this one to false because that means it will be submitted in Shopify as a draft. So that way you can go in, you can delete something you didn't want, you can add something you wanted. If you have products, maybe you want to include some product images, some additional links, whatever you want. But I like to have the option of being able to read through it first before I actually have it published live. If you do not press false, it will just automatically publish and be live on your site. Now, after you test, you're basically just pressing published, and ta-da, you now have a live integration. This is the only thing we're doing with the Zapier account for getting that integration set up. Once it's published, it's up, it's live. If there are ever any issues or something, Zapier will email you and walk you through how to adjust it. But for as long as I've had my integration up, I've never had an issue. I don't know if anyone has any questions up until this point. Anyone doing this, following along, but please feel free as I'm going through to let me know if you do have any questions. Happy to troubleshoot anything like that. So now is the really fun part. We are going to set up the blogs to be scheduled, and basically Charlie will auto-generate them based on whatever your prompt is, whatever you want Charlie to generate a blog on. And with the frequency that you choose, it will generate the content, and it would automatically get pushed through to your Shopify site. So you essentially, after setting this up, you won't actually need to go back into Charlie. You can go straight to your drafts in Shopify and adjust everything every day, however, whatever the frequency is. If you want to blog a day, you can set it up as such, and every day you can go into Shopify and you can edit the draft right in there, and not have to regenerate and recreate a prompt every day for it. What I like to do before I do any schedules is to create a new project, which you can see in this little video. I created a new project called Shopify, and then from there I like to create a chat thread that's specific for the schedule that I'm creating, so everything is just organized in one chat thread. And you can always rename the chat threads to whatever you would like. So I renamed it to Shopify as well, just so I know that these generated contents will be getting pushed through to Shopify. From here, I will be navigating to the scheduler. If you're not sure where it is this little calendar button right at the top of the menu bar. And when you go to set it up, you will see a screen that is like this. It's fairly straightforward. You are gonna name your schedule. If you have any additional descriptors that you want in it, you will also fill that out. The start date, I typically choose the day that is today. So today is April 25th. Then the end date I set up to be a month from today. You can have any repeat interval you would like. So you could do an hour, 12 hours daily. For this example, I have chosen weekly. You need to choose the assigned project. So we had already created Shopify. I choose Shopify. I choose the assigned chat thread that I would like it to be going to. And then the task instructions are the contents of the blog that you want created. So I have here as a placeholder, generate a blog about luxury lingerie for a lifestyle blog. The most important part here is the very last box that I made sure to make a very big screenshot of. And you want to make sure you click publish scheduled output to Zapier and make sure that is clicked. And once you save it, you now have an automated schedule set up for your Shopify account or WordPress or wherever it is that you want it to go to. And in the end result, so you understand what it looks like, this is what it looks like on the back end of Shopify. So it will have the date range, and it is considered hidden because I make sure to set it up as a draft. But then I can go into it, and then whenever I'm happy with the end result, I can set it to publish. And a published blog ends up looking like this. This is one of the blogs that Charlie has generated, and it got submitted through Zapier. Not sure if anyone has any questions up until this point. Fairly straightforward. Again, I'm going to share both this video and this deck to you after the call. I think with the videos in the deck, it's really, really simple to walk through it step by step for integrating Charlie into your platform through Zapier. If no one has any questions, I'm going
Hey,
to,
Masha.
yeah.
I have a quick question.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Who's talking?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Masha.
Yeah.
So, as far as now setting up, I was just following along, and then I think I went back to GoCharlie because I was setting up the API key, and I think it was loading. So when I came back, I may have missed it. But when you set up the scheduler on GoCharlie,
Yes.
once it's set up, how do you set up the blog to go directly to the Zapier? I know it sounds silly or very basic, but
It's literally the button, like the very last box.
okay.
Says publish scheduled output to Zapier, and you need to click it.
Oh, and that's it.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, very straightforward. Brennan, did you have a question?
Yeah. So I know that I know that Zapier allows us to take content from GoCharlie and send it to somewhere else. Is it possible to set things up where Charlie is like an in-between step yet?
No. So that is what I mentioned. Let me go back really quickly to this one. So because okay, so when you're at this stage right now, Charlie is only able to be the trigger. It cannot be the action because we are in beta. Once we are out of beta, we will then be able to have Charlie be that in-between step. I kind of said that quickly because I think until you start playing with it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense as to like why you would want Charlie to be an action. But until we're out of beta, Charlie can't be the in-between step. If that answers your question. Right.
What would be the purpose of the in-between steps, really? I mean, just
Yeah.
maybe take a minute to explain that, Brennan.
Yeah. So Charles is benefit for you. So like, let's say, so it's all about triggers, right? Zapier starts all about triggers. So like there's a specific event that happens and then it triggers Charlie to do something. So what you could do here, and you can do this with the API. If you use the API, you can actually set this up to where it could be an intermediate step. So for those of you that are more developer inclined, you can do this. But basically what you could say is if someone makes a comment in my Facebook community, trigger Charlie to generate a response to that comment and then send it to me in Slack. And so Zapier is like this connector between all your different apps. And so anytime someone would comment in your Facebook community, it would send that to Charlie. Charlie would generate a response and then send it to you in Slack so that you could then paste it there yourself. So in that way, it's coming from your account. That would be one example of this. Another example of this could be when someone fills out a form on my webpage, have Charlie generate an email based on that information and send them a response back. So that's kind of the next step of all of this is how do we connect the Charlie experience where it's not only just what you've created in Charlie going out, but you can also have things coming into Charlie for Charlie to then create more things for you. Does that make sense, Charles?
Oh yeah, now it does actually. So Masha, like you're mentioning, once you get out of beta, then you'll be able to have this function available. Okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
This is definitely version beta. So you can just generate things from Charlie to somewhere else, wherever that somewhere else is. And you can also send items without a scheduler. I just realized that I should have added one extra slide to show you that. But if you say you have this blog set up for every week, but then randomly on Friday, you're like, oh, I have a great idea for a blog. Let's have Charlie generate it right now. You do it in your chat, wherever it is. And Charlie generates a blog on the spot for you. Right underneath, there's a little like lightning bolt symbol. If you click it, it will automatically trigger.
Okay.
So if you don't want it basically scheduled, you can also do it case by case, essentially.
Okay. In fact, it's interesting that you're mentioning that. We had one of our clients who asked us to set up it kind of like a blog for them as well, but we had to outsource it to someone. So once we did that, they set up 200 blogs to drip into that WordPress. But the thing about this is that it's already all set up. So as it's dripping through as being scheduled, I should say, we're not able to see really what's in the blog. So we really didn't have control over what was generated. So it's already scheduled. We can still stop the schedule, right? But
yes.
the reason why, yeah. So the reason why I was
yes.
that
So
that stop that.
So that is where this step becomes very important because I agree with you. Where is it? This one. So when you are setting up an action, at the very bottom, there's this question is published. If you put false, it will send it as a draft. So then you can actually read through before it's like published live.
Absolutely. Okay. So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So because I agree, because sometimes I want to add like a photo or like links to something, right? And maybe rearrange a couple of things. I always like to read through anything that's generated by AI anyways, because I'm picky like that. So I would never want it to just like automatically like post, especially something that's like long form, like as long as our blogs are, because they're typically very long. So I like to make sure it gets posted as a draft, and then I can go in without even opening Charlie straight into the Shopify and read it and decide the way that I want it to look.
Okay, I see. So for this training, what we intend to do is to put all this blog on draft and then kind of recreate it or even leverage the existing blog and then run it through Charlie for another spin-off of it, right? And then post it back afterward. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So for those on the call, like I think where this becomes super powerful is when you combine it with the scheduler for a specific prompt that you're running over and over again. So for some clients, we've had they do competitive research and send a summary report to their customers. when we're working with agencies. And so they'll find a prompt that can basically do that competitive research using Charlie's web search capabilities plus his text gen capabilities. And then they'll have that task put into the scheduler. And then the scheduler will send that to them, send that output to them in a Slack message. They'll paste it in an email and send it to the client. So when you combine Zapier with the scheduler and a prompt that you've tuned in, this is where you can start to get to a level where you're doing the work of 10, hundreds of people using simply just the tools that are available in Zapier. So it takes a little bit of investment up front in figuring out what's the prompt and what's the task. But once you're there, you're off to the races.
Very good.
Anything
Speaking
else?
of prompt,
Yeah.
sorry, before you take off, Masha, just one question for Brandon. Speaking of prompt, I've looked at the spreadsheet that you have. It's very interesting, some really, really good prompts. Now, going forward, what's your plan? Are you intending to update it going forward with interesting prompts or maybe some use cases related to small businesses that can say, okay, this prompt is applicable to, let's say, a barbershop, for instance, right? They can leverage that. Is that something that you're planning on doing going forward, or do you want it to be just those Zoom calls?
We
Yes.
we do update the prompt library on a periodic basis. So if there are certain types of prompts you would like to see, obviously send us an email. More than happy to draft them up for you. But yes, it is a living file, so over time it gets updated. We are looking at bringing that same functionality into the actual platform itself. It gets a bit tricky, but we're looking at doing something like that may even have a community aspect where you can create prompts and share them with the community to benefit from them. So the answer is yes, it's a living file, but long-term that experience should live in the product itself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Questions. If you do, Charles, if you do get another question before we hop off, feel free to ask it. The last little note is that we are doing our second incubator in June. It's going to be a really phenomenal incubator that is really for e-commerce platforms, and there'll be trainings, guest lectures, a lot of workshops, tutorials about how to leverage AI for your e-commerce brand in the most efficient way possible. The deadline will be on June 5th, and if you are approved to be a part of the incubator, the earlier the better, because you will have a little bit of an early bird discount for it. If you have any additional questions about it, please feel free to email me. My email is Masha at GoCharlie. You can email Brennan as well. The QR code goes to the landing page where you can fill out the application and learn more about it. We have a whole community being built around it with a lot of other businesses that are exploring the use of AI and how it is helping them with their day-to-day businesses. So please make sure to check that out as well. And that is all I have for you today. So as long as no one else has any additional questions, I will let everyone go.
Yeah, Masha, about this incubator, so are you just focusing strictly on e-commerce, or are you intending to have other incubators relating on maybe service-based businesses, I guess?
Yes. So our previous one was specific for agencies. This one will be specific for e-commerce. Really anything with a website as the core of the business, I would say. And then we are also going to be doing a more generalist AI for business incubator as well. If there is something specific that you are looking for, we can definitely talk about it and see where that is on our roadmap.
Okay. Right now, for me, for us, it's really a discovery mode. We're really learning how to use the tool and trying to really figure out how we can really put together a really good use case, right? Because we deal, entirely with professional services industries. So that's really, but we also do realize that we need to promote our business through,
Right.
constant posting on LinkedIn and whatnot. So
Yeah, unnecessary
really
evil.
absolutely. So what really want to do is repurpose a lot of the content we have, but also leveraging the tools that Charlie has here in terms of the YouTube way of taking that, because we have a lot of content from other clients on YouTube, webinars, seminars. So we're trying to repurpose that into posting.
Definitely.
It's a learning curve. Definitely. But it's
Well,
exciting.
again, if you have any questions and you need like help with anything like that, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. I will stop recording and wish you all a really fantastic rest of your week. I don't even know what day it is at this point, but hopefully it's a good end of your week, and join us on our next lunch club. We always do fun interactive workshops like these that you will get something